CQ, CQ, CQ. Alright, sorry about that, everybody. CQ, CQ, CQ. Welcome to the Country Roads Net. This is Net Control Station W8XRW. My name is Rob, and I'm located in South Charleston, West Virginia. The Country Roads Net is a directed net. It meets on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. for the purpose of fellowship among amateurs, exchanging information, and testing of amateur radio equipment. This net is conducted in West Virginia, in the West Virginia Link room. The ID number for the room is 46488. The net is provided locally in the Charleston-Huntington areas on UHF repeater 441.825, located in Scott Depot, West Virginia. When checking in, please provide your call signs phonetically and give your name and location. Are there any stations with announcements for the net? Please call now. Nothing heard. Next up, do we have any time-sensitive or mobile stations wishing to check in? Please call now.
Net Control. Copy. Kilo Echo 8, India, Charlie Sierra, KE8, ICS, Brian and Wheeling.
Net Control recognizes KE8 ICS, Brian and Wheeling. Hey, Brian, you short time this evening or mobile?
Sorry. Short time. I'm just getting ready to eat dinner. Sorry about that.
Hey, no problem at all. Since you're short time this evening, the topic for this evening is going to be, or is, I should say, what is your favorite radio? You got time to make comments, or you just going to pass and get to the good grubs this evening?
Now I can make some comments. My favorite radio. Right now I'm talking to you on the FT3. I just got it last week. That virtual Hamfest, HRO had it for $65 off, so I couldn't pass it up. And I like it so far. I'm still learning the ins and outs of it, but I kind of like that. Total favorite, I don't know. I use my 100 in my vehicle, in my Jeep, and I have a 100 as my node radio at home, so I don't know if there's a favorite yet. Maybe there's three as I get to know it. Maybe it'll become a favorite. But right now, really no favorites. So other than that, KE8 ICS, back to Net Control.
All right, Brian. Yeah, I can understand that. And, of course, we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes because favorite radio sure can cover a lot of things. Anyway, glad you could check in this evening. You go ahead and head out to that dinner. All right, one more call for anybody that's short time, wants to make a comment, or mobile. Please call now. Nothing heard. Okay, next up, we're going to take local check-ins. And by local check-ins, I'm talking about local to me, going off the same repeater I am. That's the 441.825 repeater located in Scott Depot. We do it that way to try to avoid conflicts with anybody coming in across the internet. A lot of times, if we've got somebody local checking in, it overpowers the station that's coming in across the internet. So right now, we're going to take local check-ins on the 441.825 only. If you're local on the 441.825, please call now.
Kilo 8, Zulu India Oscar, Scott. Net Control, please check in Kilo Echo 8, Lima Sierra November, Randy in South Charleston.
This is KG8AI, Kilo Golf 8 Alpha India, John in Poca on the HT, in and out.
Net Control, please check in. KD8A, Kilo Delta 8 Alpha, Tony in Sissonville.
Net Control, N8 CFZ, John, Benwood, West Virginia, in and out.
Okay, Net Control would like to recognize the following stations. KB8ZIO, Scott. KE8 LSN, Randy. KG8AI, John. John, I've got you in and out this evening. Tony, KD8A. And N8CFZ, John. Got you in and out this evening, John. Okay, if there's anybody else on the 441.825 repeater that would like to check into the net this evening, please call now.
Net Control, please check in WW8RT, Whiskey 8 Radio Tango. Steve in Milton, please check me in and out.
All right, looks like we picked up one more. WW8RT, Steve in Milton. Steve, I've got you in and out this evening. All right, now we'll take any stations anywhere. Anybody that'd like to check into the Country Roads Net here, please call now.
N4NT, Adam in Bristol, Tennessee.
This is Libby with KYZ Acid Controls, Smart Acid Controls in Atlanta, Virginia.
Okay, we picked up 2 more stations. Adam, N4NT, down in Bristol this evening, and followed by Kilo Alpha 8, Yankee Echo Zulu. Matt and Lydia joining us this evening. All right, are there any stations anywhere that would like to join into the net before we go to the top of the evening? Please call now. All right, nothing heard. I don't have anything in the way of announcements this evening, so we'll go ahead and hop right into the topic of the evening. This topic came about. I was actually rolling through a couple different ones in my head, and the reason that this one stood out to me is because I was thinking about what might be my next radio. I thought about the that 300. The FTM 300, but I've also thought about a couple of HF radios, mobiles, and all that kind of stuff. And it started me thinking about, what is my favorite radio, and what's my favorite kind of radio, all of those kind of things. And really, I started thinking, what other people's favorite radio is, and I know that means a whole lot of different things. It probably just depends on what period in your amateur career that you were in or are in as far as what that favorite radio is. Like when I first started, it was a Baofeng all the way was my favorite radio. It's inexpensive. It's the one that got me into the hobby. And there was a long period of time, even after I owned other radios, that was still my favorite just because it had a lot of sentimental value to me because it was what got me into radio. I'm going to take a short break here. But I'm not really talking so much about all the different favorite radios or favorite radios for a purpose or what have you. If you could just pick one radio to call your favorite, what would that be? And it might be the only radio you have is your favorite one. It might be the one that you're using at the time. It might be one that has sentimental value to you that you don't even own anymore. So it's not really even about what you consider the best radio that you own or what have you. Just what's your favorite radio? What's the one that you like the best? And for me, while I've got, it's really kind of situational, just like everybody else. It depends on, you're talking about on the road or whatever. But if I had to pick just one, it would definitely have to be my FT991 for a couple of different reasons. Not just because it does a little bit of everything, but it was my first HF radio, and because it did so many things in so many so many different modes, all in one box, that it really opened my eyes up to radio capabilities. I mean, it can do CW, digital modes on any band, 70 centimeters through 160. It just has been a real great video, a workhorse, done everything that I've wanted it to do. I'm sure that if I had more radios and had other choices and had money coming out the wazoo to spend on things, I might have to make a different choice. But for me right now, it's got to be my 991. So I'd like to hear from you guys what your favorite radio is. I'm going to go back up to Scott, KB8ZIO. Scott, what's your comments this evening?
Well, sir, I was always a Lenco man. Always this, go that. I started off with the 130, always seem to love them Lincos. Simple. As I got closer to getting my general ticket, I just kept staring, and I hate to really use the word lust, but I was really concentrating on that 991. And it's a Radio Shack in a box. I'm still learning how to use it. Hey, I'm still trying to learn how to use the 610. But the one thing I really just love about it is it's everything all in one box. I just wished it did the 220, but I don't think it's really all that popular around here anyway. I could be wrong. I just don't have that information. But it's a Radio Shack in a box, and that's what I like. Not a lot of desk space for this, that, and other things, but that's what I like. I'm sold on it, and if my rich uncle got out of the poorhouse today, I'd buy another one, just so I'd have to. Other than that, that's all I got to say about that. As Forrest Gump would say, KB8ZIO.
All right, Scott, good stuff. Obviously, I couldn't agree with you more on that radio. All right, next up is Randy, KE8LSN. Randy, what's your favorite radio?
Good evening, Rob, and everyone else on the net. I would have to say, with my limited experience, it's the FTM 400. I've learned a lot with that. It helped me with the Wires X, and I still find this a lot to learn, but a lot of fun as well. Back to you.
It's another fine choice there, Randy. I own one also, and I love it. I loved it since the moment that I fired it up and saw that screen and started using it. So I can understand where you're coming from there. And it does a couple things some of my other ones won't. So good choice. All right, next checking in was John, KG8AI. He's in and out this evening. Next up is Tony, KD8A. What about you, Tony?
Well, good evening, Rob, and everyone on the net. I'm not going to be real original here. I guess they say that it comes in threes, but I got to go with the 991A as well. If I was put in the unthinkable position of having all my radios but one disappear, and had to pick that one, it would be the 991. That's for reasons that you and Scott have already mentioned. The versatility and it's my first and only to date HF radio, and I just love the thing. It's a fantastic radio, and I couldn't be happier with it. So don't have a lot to add, but I'll throw another one in for the 991A there. KD8A, back to net control.
All right, nothing wrong with that, Tony. The good thing about this question is there's no wrong answers as far as that goes. Of course, I know both of you guys, and I've done, I think I've done a sell job for everybody in the club at one time or another when I've been asked about radios and throwing the 991 out there. So I understand where you're coming from. All right, next was John. He was in and out this evening, N8CFZ, WW8RT, Steve, in and out. Next up is Adam, N4NT. What about you, Adam?
Well, I'd have to say my favorite radio, if I got to pick one, out of what I own currently, is the FT991A. For a lot of the reasons that other folks said there, just the versatility of it and the whole shack in a box concept. I really like that, and just the fact that, I had a TS2000 several years ago, but one of the things I really like about this 991A is it connects directly to my computer, without any kind of external sound cards or anything, and I can do pretty much all the functions of programming it or whatever, or even operating it through that one cable. So that to me is a pretty awesome feature. As far as other radios that I have around the shack are not non-HF radios, let's say, just stuff that you can use the tech privileges radios. I own a couple FTM 400s. I've got a FTM 100. I got a 7250 in my patrol car. I've got a FT70, and I also have a FT3D. So out of all those radios, I really love that FT3D. That is a pretty versatile feature-packed radio. I take it traveling with me. Throw a mag mount on the vehicle, connect it, and run APRS. I went to Myrtle Beach earlier in the year and tracked my trip with APRS, and then I went to Navarre, Florida a month or so ago and did the same thing, and it was pretty handy. And one of the things I really liked about it is just and even compared to the 400, obviously the power levels are different, but I could always run that thing through a little amplifier and get the same amount of power. But something that really came in handy, and I just thought about it on this last trip, was we were stuck in traffic in Georgia because of a wreck, and I happen to remember. Let me reset it real quick. I remembered, back in the day when I was a kid and I traveled with my dad. He was an over-the-road truck driver, and if we would travel like in just regular vehicles or go anywhere, he always had a CV and would communicate with the other truckers like he did when he was working. So I actually took the FT3 and tuned to on the receive side to the CB channel 19 to listen to the truck drivers, and was able to pick up on which lane to be in to be able to drive through the wreck, as opposed to getting up there and having to try to signal and merge over. The ones that were coming toward us were telling the other truck drivers which lane to get in. So that was pretty handy, and so I monitored that some during the trip as well for the useful information of it. And of course, it'll do broadcast and all that stuff. But so that's my favorite radios. I've got a AM/FM radio stereo out in my outbuilding that my mom got me for Christmas when I was a kid, and I still have it, and it'll play vinyl records or tapes or anything else, and I've got adapters on it to Bluetooth music through it. But I love to sit out on my patio in the summers, build me a fire in my fire pit. I put an extension wire on one of the speakers, and I set it on the patio with me, and on some nights, like Friday nights, there's a request show on one of the local FM country stations, and I sit and listen to it and send requests to the DJ. I know him, so I send him requests for songs, and he'll play them for me. So outside of ham radio, that's my favorite radio. But anyway, if you don't mind, I know I'm taking a little bit of time here, but I've got a new net in the works that I want to tell everybody about, and also just throw out the invitation for the Tri-Cities Mountain Empire net on Tuesday nights at 9:30 in the Bristol Amateur Radio Club room. But by the way, I am doing YouTube Live tonight for this net. But let me reset one more time, and I promise I won't run past this next timer, and I'll tell you about this new net I'm working on. Okay, sorry for the long-windedness, and thank you for listening to me, but anyway, don't have a date set yet. Don't even know the day of the week exactly, but in the future sometime, and it'll probably be on the weekend, we're working on a kids net through the Friends of Amateur Radio group is who I'm working with. They have a room QSO America, and that room number is 43815, and it also has a FCS reflector, FCS4 room 54. And what we're trying to do is put together, and I'm kind of heading the project, putting together a net that's about kids, about children. We invite anybody to check in, but we're particularly looking for licensed amateurs that are under the age of 18, children, and then also looking for third-party check-ins. So if you have a child that you want to check in, let them make comments, make contacts or whatever, or even a neighborhood kid or a relative or whatever, then feel free to join us. Or if you don't and you just want to join us in support of the kids that do check in, to give them somebody to talk to and that kind of thing, do so. We have a Facebook group page. It's called Kids Connection. It's kids spelled with a Z, K-I-D-Z, Kids Connection Facebook group page, and that's where you can go and find updates as far as when we set a date and have our first net and that kind of thing. We're probably going to do it on a monthly or semi-monthly basis till it gets off the ground. Our hope is that we can train the kids and they can actually be the net controllers and do everything. And if we get that kind of participation, then we could even step it up to once a week. But anyway, so that's my abundance of time taken. I do apologize for being so long-winded, but thank you for indulging me on this. And I hope to hear you on our net and back here again next week. 7-3, it's N4NT.
All right, good stuff, Adam, and no problem with taking time. That's what this net's all about is getting information and giving information. So good stuff. And while we have a topic of the evening, nobody's ever limited to that. If there's anything you want to talk about or discuss, please feel free. This is a directed net, but it's not that kind of regimented like an Aries net or something may be. Okay, a couple comments on what you said there. First of all, the new net sounds like a great idea, very interesting. Once you guys kick that off, be sure and we do tune into your Tuesday night net on a regular basis, and I'm sure you'll announce it there. But when you do kick it off, be sure and come back here and announce it and spread the word. I know there's more than a couple people that might be interested. I know there's a couple scout troops in the area, in our area, that might be interested in that kind of thing for introducing their troops to the radio. I know some of them work on the radio merit badge and all that kind of stuff, but even if they just could participate in something that was a little bit more interesting than a bunch of old guys talking about their favorite radio kind of thing. So good stuff on that. Hope you guys get that going soon. Next thing is that just a quick comment on the CV thing in the FT3. I love that feature, and I've done that more than once myself. I actually have that as a part of my scan list driving down the road. And man, I wish they would build in the ability to monitor that band or those frequencies, those lower frequencies, just like you could on an FT3, on an FT400, or on the FT300. I think if they did that, that would probably be the perfect mobile radio to me. I don't care about the transmit part, but just being able to monitor those lower frequencies would be great. Either way, I guess that's the way they sell you another mobile radio to install right alongside of it. But it sure would be nice to have it all in one. Okay, we'll take a quick break. All right, so good stuff there, Adam. Next up, and this is, I would suspect that the next check-in here might be very interested in that net. KA8YEZ, Matt and Lydia. Go with your comments.
My dad will probably say every radio. And hi everybody, and I am very interested in that net. I can't wait.
Okay, I'll say game to you and everybody else on that. Yep, Adam, since you mentioned that,
Little one's been excited, jumping around, and she's
she's ready to run it. She wants to run that net. Okay, let's see. They said every radio. Well, I don't have a 991, so I can't say that, but it does look like a real nice radio. I don't have one yet, let's put it that way. I was like Brian and got an FT3 here last weekend. He told me about the sale they had, and that's what I'm on now. Still trying to learn it. A whole lot to learn for this old fart, but still trying to learn it. But my favorite radio is maybe two of them. One that I can carry on a good conversation with somebody with. Doesn't matter what kind it is. But more importantly, one, if somebody needs some help, then I am able to help them. Doesn't matter what radio it is. If somebody's out there that needs some help and I am able to help them with my radio, that's my favorite radio, whichever one that might be. And that's it. Back to net. Same for y'all. KYZ.
All right, Matt. Good answer. Good take on the question as far as that goes. Yeah, there's a whole lot to be said for my favorite radios, whatever one I'm using at the time. I guess it's or the one that works. I guess is a great answer. All right, that brings me to the end of my list. So at this point, we'll go back and take any new check-ins. Anybody that'd like to check into the Country Roads Net here. Just give me your call sign, your name, and your location, and we'll go from there. Any station like to check in, please call now. Okay, nothing heard. We'll do one last check for anybody with any further business for the net, any late comments, or any last-minute check-ins. Please call Net Control.
W8CRO, Whiskey 8, Charlie Romeo Oscar, Bob, Cincinnati, Ohio, last-minute check-in.
Net Control recognizes Bob, W8CRO. Hey, Bob, glad you could join us this evening. And the topic for the evening is, what is your favorite radio? If you, hopefully you joined us early enough to hear a few of the great answers that were given earlier. So, you got any comments for us this evening, Bob?
Thank you. I heard a couple people mention the 991A, and I would have to list that one as my favorite as well, just for everything that it can do. That's the radio I take out for Parks on the Air. Also, I have an FTM 400 XDR as a slave radio for my HRI 200. And I very much like all of the features on that radio as well. W8CRO, back to net.
All right, Bob. Appreciate the comments and appreciate you stopping by this evening. One last check for anybody with any kind of comments or any other check-ins. Please call Net Control.
Kilo Delta 9, Lima, Oscar, Romeo, Doug in Avon, Indiana.
Net Control recognizes Doug, KD9LOR. Doug, glad you could join us this evening. The topic, I hope you've heard, your favorite radio. So what do you got for us this evening?
Well, good evening to everybody on the net, and thank you for picking me up. I just caught the, right after you guys started there, got in here after I cut grass, so I've been on here for a little bit. And, well, I decided on the 1200 a couple years ago against the 991A, and I wish I would have got the 991A, but I've enjoyed the 1200 at that, and I guess that would be my favorite HF radio, but I still would like to get a 991A, but I do enjoy the 1200 as well. Sounds like everybody's enjoying it real well. Quite a few votes and hands up for that one, so, but thank you for picking me up this evening. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. This is KD9LOR, back to Net Control.
Okay, Doug, glad you could join us this evening, and thanks for the report there. And of course, you know, there's been a whole lot of 991s and Yaesu equipment. Of course, we're on a Wires X, digital mode and net. So of course, I'm sure the answers would be different if you were on a D-Star or maybe even a DMR net. You might get a few different responses as far as that goes. Either way, it was good hearing what everybody had to say this evening. Appreciate you taking the time to join us. But before I close up, I'll do one last check. Anybody with any more comments or any last check-ins, please call now. Okay, nothing heard. With that, we'll head to closure. This is Net Control, W8XRW, for the Country Roads Net. I'd like to thank all stations who checked in and welcome you back again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This net is now formally closed with a total of 12 check-ins at 8:38 p.m. local time. This is W8XRW, Net Control. 7-3, everybody. Good night, and hope to hear from you again next week.